College life can be challenging, especially for Black students facing unique struggles and pressures, but you don't have to face it alone. Introducing ReadU, the mental health app created by Black innovators for people of all walks of life. ReadU understands your pain and mental health struggles because it's designed by people who truly get it. With ReadU, you have access to culturally competent therapists, stress reduction techniques, and a supportive community all at your fingertips. Get ready to join a community that understands you, supports you, and helps you thrive.
Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Service, part of the Natanya Experience collection here at the New Solutions Network. And today I have a very special guest, my dear friend, Tommy Gucciardo. Welcome.
Thank you for having me here today.
Absolutely. Tommy is the founder of the Savvy Experience Group, and we're going to talk about what it's like to create savvy experiences for people, giving them their best day, their best concert, their best dinner, their best celebrity outing, whatever it may be, whatever the event. Tommy's group helps orchestrate and manufacture these experiences for people. But behind the scene, it's quite a lot of work and maybe not always hearts and smiles, would you say?
I would say definitely not hearts and smiles.
So we're going to talk about that. Tommy is my first on the couch. I invited him to lie down, although this is my disclaimer. Of course, this is not official therapy. I'm not currently a licensed therapist or a medical doctor, but we are going to go light into the mental health world of what it's like to serve others and what that is like for you when sometimes maybe you don't get to serve yourself.
True, very true.
So tell me a little bit first about the good stuff. Tell me about the Savvy Experience Group.
So the Savvy Experience Group kind of started with, we basically have Savvy Seats. That's how I started. I'm a ticket broker by nature. I help people, have experiences and, go to events. And we like to make memories, right? And then we have the tailgate part of it, which people come before the game. They have a great time, whether it's a group of 5, 20, or just one person. Before they go to the game, we give them an experience. They go inside.
I want to stop you right there. Tommy graciously allowed us to jump into his tailgate experience at can I say the stadium?
Sure.
At like the American Dream Mall and everything.
Yes.
I just didn't know what we were allowed to say.
No, of course.
Pretty big deal at Giant Stadium. Pretty impressive setup. So he's being very modest right now, but it was a pretty incredible setup. I mean, they put down like a whole fake field on the ground. They have like fake games and inflatable things, and there was bars and FanDuel and all kinds of sponsor events. And I had my little homemade, which everyone's like, what is this? And I'm like, no, it's on purpose. The Lucy Van Pelt Doctor is in.
That was great.
A little booth that you let me put there to talk to people, and I couldn't believe how many guys and gals came up with a quarter, because we said it was we up the for inflation, the peanuts price was 5 cents for Lucy Van Pelt's, but we made ours 25 cents. Who came up with a quarter? Like, what is this? How can I talk about this? And we made it light. Maybe your girlfriend's rooting for the other team, we got you covered, kind of thing. But to really kind of intersect in the fun. People were really having a great time in a private party basically before the party.
Exactly.
So when you say tickets, I just want to also make sure I expand a little bit from what I've seen. It's so much more than that. And then I want to bring up another time that we overlapped in terms of what I saw that you put on that was really above and beyond experiences, which is why it's just, I don't know, I think you're so cool, was at the Down with Cancer at Oheka Castle.
Right.
Which was a multi-day event with a golf outing, a Gatsby night, like several days of parties and events. Many, pretty A-list celebrities there, B and C and D-list, and maybe I'm E-list. I don't know what level I am for experience.
You're A-list.
Oh, yeah, thank you. But no, it was really an impressive lineup of people and so many things going on, so many different kinds of vendors. I love that too. You seem to bring in worlds like, it was like ice cream and hula hoops and THC soda and, celebrity alcohol brands, like all mixed in together.
Right. So just to elaborate on what you're saying, part of my business was always selling tickets. I sold tickets to events, and slowly we started doing other things like being at Oheka, being at the tailgate, creating memories for people, bringing brands in also that they're able to work with people that are coming there and maybe never knew about a FanDuel or knew about, a Happy Dad or something along those lines, and creating those memories with the brands. And now, we're just not just a ticket broker, right?
Yep.
And then we have an event platform where if you want to put an event on, We could help you with that. And then we could help you with the marketing and the brand vision and the sponsorship. So, it became, as a ticket broker, to becoming this whole experience group.
No,
and I feel like, in this day and age, it's about memories, right? It's not just about going to a game and coming home. It's about bringing your son to that first event, bringing your daughter to maybe that first WNBA game, and it creates that lifelong memory. And now Savvy will be part of it.
Amazing. And before we get too dark, you're on the couch sitting up, but if you do need to lay down, we'll talk about that. Many people in different elements of the service world were pretty devastated from COVID.
Oh.
So sorry to go right there, but just to say, live events obviously was an area that was hit pretty deeply.
Exactly.
And so I was wondering if you could talk to me about how, because when we met was through this journey, right? And how you've been able to pivot and build back up and now lean into the fact that people are seeking these experiences more than ever.
Well, that's a good question. Like during the whole pandemic, there was no live events, there was nothing. And basically I had nothing to do. Like, I didn't know what to do on a daily basis except give refunds, trying to, hopefully a live event would happen, like you said, pivot. So I learned a little bit about marketing. I learned a little bit about, sponsorship and branding. And that helped me to get where I am today.
Right.
So actually in the darkness, there was always something good that came out of it. I learned different things. And, now that knowledge is helping me build this business right now. But it was really tough. It was a tough period. There was no money coming in. There was just money going out.
Did you think about throwing in the towel?
There was days, but then what are you going to do? Like, this is the only thing I know. I know tickets. I know how to sell tickets. I know how to be in that industry. It's like...
How long have you been in, like, this world?
About 20 years now.
Yeah, so a couple years. Yeah.
Right. So, it's something I know. It's like, all right, so if I left this place tomorrow and go start a pizza company or a pizza shop, you'd be like, what are you, crazy?
Right,
like,
right.
if you said, all right, I'm going to build a ticket business,
right.
I know how to build a ticket business.
Right. And so now we're coming out of COVID, events are starting to come, but we're also dealing with the economy. There's a lot of things that are shifting, and also different kinds of ticketing brokers have changed their games.
Right.
And so we talked a little bit about that in the beginning, like a StubHubs and all that, in terms of what's happening to the industry as a whole started changing, the AI technology around, who to target, what it is, how 3 people can go to the same event and pay 3 totally different prices.
Exactly.
So, I really think it's important, 2 things you said. Well, everything you said, but 2 things you said. One is, it was a dark time, but I spent my time learning.
Exactly.
And so because of that, you probably wouldn't have had the time to learn.
No, to learn those things. Yeah. Absolutely not.
And that essentially enabled you to now have different kinds of revenue arms and teams, which you have a beautiful person on who came today, she's off camera. But to be able to support a full service company and platform for experiences that goes, includes tickets, but also includes these sort of outside where you're curating essentially experiences that have never been created before.
Exactly.
Which is kind of cool. That's really like Disney level dream maker, right?
Right. I'm Disney now.
Well, I just meant you could rival.
I know.
With a little edge.
But to get back to what you were talking about, like coming out of the pandemic, people were afraid. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know if to go to events or not go to. So it was still a little bit of an uneasy time. And then all of a sudden, like, the floodgates opened up and everybody started going. Everybody started spending money. And you're right, and then the economy now is going the opposite way. So what happens is these venues and these, facilities, like, these teams, they see people spending, so they start raising the prices.
Right.
And now some of the prices are just astronomical on some of these events, and it's hard for the everyday person to go to some of these events.
Right. So a game or something where maybe you went for several of the season, now you have to prioritize, I can go to 1, maybe 2, and bring my friends or bring my 1 child or 2 children or whatever that might be. And so the value of that 1 ticket,
it's worth more now.
Is worth more.
Right. And it's also that I put more work into that ticket because I want that person to have that experience and make sure that from soup to nuts, you got to remember, there's just because you bought a ticket, there's getting the ticket,
Right.
downloading the ticket. If you don't know how to download an app, there's this. I've had people that I could spend an hour trying to help them figure out how to get it into their Apple Wallet, and it's you're not going to get that with StubHub. You're not going to get that personal touch. And not to knock StubHub or
No,
Vivid.
you're always...
It's a bigger company. But I want to give that person that customer support, that VIP treatment when they're not a VIP.
Well, that was what I was going to say. That was one thing that we were talking, I think, kind of unrelated. I think we were working on some kind of, some pitch deck things or whatever. And I said something like, walk me through a typical, customer something. And you were telling me this story, and then you were telling me 3 more kind of about what you just said now. And honestly, that was one of the things that really struck me. I was like, wow, you spent all this time for basically a margin of $35 or something it was for that example that you said. And I'm like, oh, he really cares about his customers. I mean, I'm being a little silly, but this is important. You weren't trying to impress me. You were just telling me a random scenario, like you just said now, like, I will help you download the ticket. I don't see that really anywhere in terms of someone at the level that you're, rising to do. And listen, he's making a real business here, but yet doesn't have like a value or ego-based judgment of like, you're just a little customer for this one ticket. I've never seen anything like that. I can't even imagine the bandwidth that it requires to give of yourself to people. And then, of course, there's things that go wrong in general life, right? Like, my boyfriend and I broke up, and now we have the 2 tickets, and, or I don't know, I'm just making up scenarios.
No, you're right. It could be anything.
But just that, like,
somebody
you become...
passed away, or
yeah,
had to go
so,
out
like,
of
you
town
become...
on business.
They have this personal connection, but have you also had times when you have to kind of politely, pull back because people start to think you're their new friend, and really, you're trying to find a way to run the business. I don't know. I just wonder, can that get a little
yes
much?
And no. I mean, for the most part, I'm fair with everybody. I'm open with everybody. I give everybody as much time as they need. You got to remember, a person buying a $15 Met ticket today could be the same person 2 years from now buying a $10,000 Super Bowl ticket.
Yeah.
So you don't know what that person's capable of. Just because they're buying small tickets or they're going to a couple of games,
right?
You don't know what they're capable or who they can give you. So
right.
I want everybody to. I give everybody the same amount of time.
Yeah, no,
there's
true.
no special. I mean, I do give them special treatment, but I don't say, oh, because you spend more money with me, I'm giving you more time. Everybody gets the same amount.
Yeah,
of time.
I realized that through your discussions with me, and I was really, really shocked because I don't hear that.
And
very
sometimes
often.
It's stressful.
Well, that's the next part of what we're going into. So let's talk about that. Again, open invitation to lay down, but you don't need to.
No,
I'm just kidding.
good. Thank you.
But let's talk about some of the stress a little bit. Like, what are some of the things, and how do you deal with them, and how do you stay this jolly?
So, I don't know how I say this jolly, but in the industry, you're never going to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example, like tailgating, for example. I could send 300 people, 6 bus loads from Long Island to MetLife, do a phenomenal tailgate, and you could talk to 299 people, and they had the best time, the food was great, and that one person that got a cold hamburger or a hot dog will complain and complain and complain.
And write it.
Right, like write a review or something. So you never can make everybody happy. So like I try to do, I just try to give everybody the same amount of time, the same amount of bandwidth. Give them, if they have a problem, I deal with it. I don't push them off to the wayside. I don't let somebody else talk to them. But, it could be stressful. That's when you're doing the bigger events and when you have a lot of people that you're corralling in at one time.
Right.
You have to learn how to be the maitre d', and you have to learn how to go from place to place and try to make everybody happy.
Yeah, and there's just like so many more needs and energies and interdynamics that happen within the people there
Right.
that you have no control over.
Right, because you could have 10 people having a great time, and
Right.
then there could be 5 people that just
Or
not
they're
happy
like
people.
they're too loud
Right.
or what have you, but they're the adjacent people.
So I just try to make, I just try to give the person the benefit of the doubt. I listen, and we just try to make things better. And if it's a problem, you try to fix it. And that's all you could do.
No, that's incredible. So right now we're about to kick off like summer.
It definitely kicked off today.
It's hot out. Don't let this jacket fool you. It's nice and cool in here, but outside it is hot. So summertime. What's tell me about some stuff you have cooked up for summer that you're excited about.
Well, we have a lot of great tailgate experiences going to happen this summer. We have Zach Bryan coming up for 3 days at MetLife. We have WWE, and then football season's right around the corner.
Before we know
Before
it.
you know it, it's going to be the end of summer. Football's going to be starting. You're going to be, where's summer go?
I got it. Anything back at Ohika this summer planned or not yet?
I'm sure they're doing something there. I haven't been involved with that in about a year or two. You know, I helped them for a few years.
Yeah.
And just
Didn't know. I just want to go back.
yeah, it's a beautiful
Like, tell me
place.
where to
It's
go.
a
We'll go
phenomenal
there.
place.
Yeah. And in terms of like your ideal partners, you want to talk a little bit about that and like who are the kinds of partners? I know, obviously a lot of the sort of alcohol brands and entertainment kinds of companies, ones who have like gaming and other kinds of experiences. But are you guys looking into, how do I say, more new age collaborations or things with like people with like VR and AR? Because I was
Eventually,
noticing that.
we'd like to get to that point. The tailgate is still a growing process. And last year was the first year that we actually did it at American Dream. And, it wasn't the greatest. It wasn't the worst. We got by. This year, we're going to expand it a little more. And then hopefully next year, after that, we'll get more interactive.
And these things take time to build. You
Yeah,
need
it's not
people
gonna-
have to looky-loos. You're going to have the looky-loos for the first year. Like, what is that? Because I definitely noticed when we were there with a booth, there was a lot of people in and a lot of people kind of like realizing, but they were already on their way in.
Right.
Like, what is that? And so that's going to
We
be
have to let people know
groundswell
that we're there.
There for,
And
that
that's
takes
the
a
whole
little
thing.
time, yeah.
A lot of people walk by there and don't realize, they think it's a private party. And then by time,
Right,
they
right.
pass by and then they realize maybe they're not coming back. So we're going to work on that this year to be a little more proactive with that and brand it properly. So, it's just a work in progress.
But they're good, great DJ. Good
Yeah,
food.
we have good
I
DJ,
mean, I
good
had a good
food.
time every time. I recommend it to everyone.
Everybody that's going to go there is going to have a good time.
Yeah. And it's really
Except
cool.
that one person that
That
doesn't.
one person. And then we hope we'll just send them love anyway, right?
But you don't realize like what goes on behind that. Getting it set up, make sure all the vendors are there, making sure that the right people are at the door greeting people.
Oh, you know what we have, and I'd love to have spliced into this. This is a shout out to our team. One of the promo videos from the tailgate had the time lapse of showing like the parking lot. And
Oh,
then
yes,
the carpets
yeah.
rolling out, and then and like just showing what it took to, because you build basically a little city, and then you
Right.
break it down in one day,
Right.
twice a week, right? That was twice.
It depends.
many
Sometimes
games?
it could be one a week. Sometimes it
Okay.
could be one every couple.
Yeah.
It depends on the schedule.
But it's a lot of work. I just saying that people don't realize. And then the guests come and we're like, look at this perfect land that I can
Right.
just party in. And managing all the staff and the costs and the overhead and keeping everybody
Yeah, it's not
fed
easy.
and happy and safe and all the things that you do. No tips for how you stay jolly?
I don't know. I don't really have any tips for it. I just try to. I don't know. That's a good
Well,
question.
you had your own podcast for a while and you're starting another one, right?
Yes, we definitely are starting another one. The past podcast was something that I enjoyed doing, and that was, self-help.
Well, that's why I'm
You know.
talking about it.
And,
Actually, that's how we first met. I was a
Exactly.
guest on
You were a
your
guest on
pod.
the
I
show.
forgot about that. That
right,
was even
that's how
before
we
that.
met. Yes. And, it's part of some things that I have in my life, battles that I deal with. And, I just want people to, show people that it's okay to have problems.
Yes.
But it's not okay to not fix them.
Or say I need help or this needs
Right.
working on. I
Yes.
think that's the part that.
Because I'm a work in progress every day. I'm 56 years old, and every day I'm evolving.
Excellent, which is like I think that's the most macho thing a man can say. Because, we're all in this together, coming up with our bad deeds and good deeds and shame moments and truths and struggles, and everybody's got something.
Right.
And how we work through it is sometimes giving a name to it or being honest with ourselves about it or, having that friend who helps you check yourself before you wreck yourself, you know?
Exactly.
And the fact that, you know, you were willing to put that out there, you know, originally was how we got to connect on that, about those kinds of things. And I think the fact that you put your whole self into your work, it is really refreshing to see, though, somebody who is so driven by, of course, you're driven to be successful, but you're
Exactly.
also spending time and making sure as best as possible that everybody feels seen, heard, and is happy with the product and
Exactly.
services that you provide. So please, please do me a favor. Check out the Savvy Experience Group and Savvy Seats and Tommy Gucciardo, and stay tuned. And I don't know, hopefully we'll be having an event together, and then we can go on his new podcast and talk about
Exactly.
that, because it'll be a fundraiser. I'm like, I'm coming for you and you and you and you. It'll be nonprofit. But thank you so much for coming down today and being my guinea pig on the couch.
Thank you. Thank you
The
for
new
having me on your
format.
couch today.
Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll see you soon.
Thank you for having me.
All right.